to Africa. Come back home. Come back home to Africa. Come back home. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da da da. Da 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 da. Da da da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Greetings, divine, all blessed peace and love, joy and prosperity, revelations and manifestations. You are listening now live to the Divine Prince, and always an archive at your leisure and convenience here on two platforms, blogtalkradio.com/the divine prince. And I'm also available here live on YouTube at youtube.com/ Voodoo Thai. V like Victor, OODOOTYE. All is truly and indeed a blessing if you could just see beyond the veils, for it is all just an illusion. It is all just an illusion and a test, and one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. This is indeed my constant prayer, my mantra, affirmation, reverberation, reiteration, and it is my ever-living reality. It is crucial to the very foundation of my inner standing, my teaching, my walk, my works along this divine, all blessed life path and journey. It is how I, the Divine Prince, make sense of all that we're challenged with here in our daily existence on Mother, Father, Earth. And it is my personal place of power and inner standing, the place from where I begin, the place from where I realize and crystallize all my endeavors, understanding that I and I alone create and co-create my divine destiny, and I alone create and co-create my divine, all blessed reality. And so it is. Ashe, Asheo, Ashe, I Bobo, Ashe. I'm most certainly humbled, honored, and appreciative to be here with you again for another very powerful edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes, here on both YouTube Live and Blog Talk Radio. All is a blessing. Please give all due respect and honor and appreciation to my faithful co-host and monitor, Kiona D. Carter. uh, Allow her to help me to see your questions and comments in the chat. She will instruct you about using all capital letters, using punctuation, so that we're able to discern your questions and comments from the other beloved greetings and salutations and conversation that often will and does take place. I'm here on this show. My desktop is buffering, so I can't see the chat as of yet. I know Keon is there, and I know there are a few others there. Seven, the gentleman, I remember is there. But please give me a moment to get my desktop situation in order, and get past these commercials that YouTube keeps throwing up at me, and then I'll be able to see my chat more clearly. I also invite you to utilize my blog talk radio platform. I'm opening the chat room also in the blog talk radio platform. We do have some callers and participants that do use my blog talk radio platform. And again, type your questions, comments, and requests in all capital letters. I'll be more than happy to open your mic, acknowledge you, and respond to your questions appropriately here on the air. My call in and listen in number is area code 845 277 845 277 9143. Toll free number area code 845 277 9143. When you're ready with your question, comment, or request, do press the number 1 on your telephone keypad. I'm going to call out your area code 3 times, 3 times, in order to give both of us time to get our background noise together and get our thoughts together. And then by the time I say your area code for the 3rd time, 813, your mic will be open. 813, that's the 2nd time that I've said your area code. So you know I'm coming to you. Give me a second to lay a foundation. Because in all things, we can't begin or end without our ancestors, without acknowledging those mighty shoulders on which we now stand on which we now have our very being and our very essence, both physically and spiritually. For those of you who don't quite understand ancestral acknowledgement, you wouldn't biologically be here and be who you are and have the attributes that you possess without the gifts, the blood, sweat, and tears, the intervention of your ancestors. We also acknowledge that great Egungun, that great ancestor who then was evolved to an Orisha. And we give acknowledgement, Kabio Sile. We give acknowledgement. We humble ourselves before the power of thunder and lightning. We humble ourselves to the power of the wind. No man or woman can control the wind. No man or woman can control the weather. We can prepare for the weather. We can protect ourselves for the weather. We can surrender and accept the weather for what it is, and we wait it out. But no one controls the power and the forces of lightning and thunder and wind. And so we embrace the forces of dramatic change. We embrace the forces that come through sometimes and blow away the old concepts in order to allow the new to flourish and to develop. We give thanks to the power of the creators that have us on timeout right now, that are asking us to be still right now, that are asking us to spend more time at home or spend more time with your family or spend more time with your loved ones or get better acquainted with your roommates during this time. But more importantly, get better acquainted with yourself. These powerful forces in which we operate on the ritual calendar for today are all about the self and what's going on with the self and how we're manifesting self. So take this time to be deep, to be spiritual, to be erudite, to study, to research, to advance first in here, because all that we invest in here shows up out here and plant seeds out here that must return to us unvoid, must return to us manifest. 813, I am now opening your mic. Who's calling and where are you calling from, beloved?
Hi, my name is Shaq. My name is Shaquana, but I call it Shaq, and I'm calling from Florida.
Greetings, beloved. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for being with us and being an active co-host and participant on the show. What is your question or comment for me today?
My question is, about 2 years ago, I had started getting a little bit more spiritual and meditating and things like that because I was seeing frequency numbers. And once I had Googled it, it said to meditate. But once I started meditating, strange things started happening. I was like awake, and it was kind of like I was asleep but awake at the same time, and I was like traveling to different like portals. Another
Yes.
time, I felt like I was looking at myself in the bed, and I was awake, but out of it was just weird, like out of my body. So it kind of freaked me out a little bit. So
Mm-hmm.
I stopped meditating and kind of just shut it all down. And I'm just curious as to what it meant and what path I should go on, I guess.
My first immediate answer is your third eye is wide open. You may not be conscious of it. You may not be actively pursuing such, though that's a bit of a misnomer because in your speech, you suggested that you had been looking for spirit, that you had been inviting spirit. And when we invite spirit, ancestors, and maybe you don't have a particular thing in mind, you just want to be more deep, you just want to be more connected to the spirit realm, depending on where you are organically, where you are naturally, your third eye may very well be wide open. And you're describing someone whose third eye is wide open. Also, the actions, the activity of meditation is really like exercise for the mind, for the conscious, for the spirit body. So for my regular listeners, I don't know how long you've been listening, they hear me say all the time, meditate, keep a journal, write that stuff down, because you're seeing stuff. Now, I listened to you carefully. That was no illusion. What I heard from you was real. What I heard from you was organic, and so real and organic that it frightened you and caused you to step back, from the experience. But I want to invite you to the understanding that it's safe. Your mind, your consciousness, the spirit realm that you access through that gateway of your mind and your imagination is safe. That's why God, the divine creators, the goddess, gave us imagination. It's a spiritual tool. And I often say that it is a very thin veil. It is the doorway, the most immediate doorway into the spirit realm is your imagination. So people who are able to hear something, see something, read something, experience something, and then have your third eye open up like that, you have a gift that really has to be harnessed. The idea that got scared and kind of stopped doing it, you can't run from that, beloved. You can't run from it. The scariest thing, give me a second. The scariest thing that I'm going to say to you right now in the course of responding to your question is what I just said. You can't stop it. You can't block it. It will then reemerge in other ways in your life. And if you're still not tapping into it, your ancestors will create disruption in your life in order to get your attention. Go ahead, beloved. What's your question or comment?
No, I was just agreeing with you because I do think I have a gift, but I don't know exactly what I've been told, like empath before, I've been told light worker before, but I basically, a coworker of mine named Tamara, I was talking to her, and she's the one that told me about your station, and she was like, you should call in and, just tell somebody what you're going through. So I wanted to shout out to her for bringing me today because this is my first time.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Shout out to her. I appreciate people who promote the show, who talk about the show, who find the show relevant. And apparently she found it relevant and so relevant that she thought it would be helpful to you. But you are absolutely expressing symptoms of someone who has active gifts that you're either not paying attention to, not consciously developing, not trying to work on. And your ancestors and God, the Most High, however you view the Most High, is fueling that activity. I implore you to go back to meditation, but to study a little bit more about meditation. I really have a thing for transcendental meditation. Transcendental meditation. And there are a whole lot of people out there trying to sell you courses and workshops. Ignore all of that. Just Google and find just the book. It's a very simple book. I think it's like 30 or 40 pages long, written from this guru in India back in the 70s. That's when transcendental meditation was first publicized and made globally aware. And study transcendental meditation. Now, I can briefly explain to you what it is. It's going to teach you circular breathing. It's going to teach you circular breathing. Most meditation books are going to say, pay attention to your breathing. So for the people who are listening to me talk to you, circular breathing is slowing down your breathing, extending your breathing to a point that it's cyclical. You're almost breathing in and breathing out in an even, balanced, circular pattern. And they often suggest that you focus on your breathing because you don't want to hyperventilate. Don't hyperventilate. You're just calming yourself down, relaxing your body, and your breathing naturally will lengthen. For lack of better words, your breathing cycles will lengthen. How long you inhale will lengthen, and how long you exhale will lengthen, and that develops what we call this circular breathing. It will also talk about what you focus in on when you're in meditation. People often don't know, what do I think about? What do I do? What am I supposed to see? At first, you might not see anything. At first, you might be bombarded with your mundane thoughts, your bills, your schedule, what you may have forgot to do. And what I want you to do is stop, because this is a physical, symbolic, spiritual way of acknowledging the importance of the things that are coming up in your mind. So you stop, continue your breathing, jot that down, make a note about that bill, make a note about, oh, I forgot to do so and then go back to breathing, close your eyes again, and then go back into your space, beloved. Now, the next level is, once you get to a place where you're not being bombarded necessarily with all the random stuff, now you just want to be still. Now you just want to experience being in the moment. Now you just want to experience your body and what's in the room, what surrounds you. Because even with your eyes closed, you feel that you have a connection to that. And that takes you to the next thing that I teach my students about meditation, and that's visual meditation, guided or visual meditation. Now, guided is often when I'm talking and I'm telling you how to breathe, and I'm telling you what to see. There's a light above your third eye. I speak you through the meditation. But visual meditation is sort of when you do that on your own, but you predetermine the type of meditation you're going to do. So you might do a meditation where you rise up spiritually and you see your body. You describe that. That's why I'm saying this. And you see your body and you examine the room around you. And sometimes you might need to open your eyes and get clear about your orientation, what's around you. And then close your eyes again, breathe, and go back in, and then rise up and view the room. And then you might rise up and view the house. And then you might rise up further and view your block. And then you might rise up further and see your neighborhood. And so, again, use your imagination. If your third eye ain't there yet, use your imagination. That's why I say open your eyes, visualize, copy everything that's in the room, and then close your eyes again. You do that a few times, enough times, over the course of days, it'll become second nature. It'll become natural to you. And then you can float. I teach meditations where you go into space. I teach meditations where you shrink yourself down and you can go inside your body and examine your body, for health and wellness issues. I did that in 1986. Diagnosed myself even before the medical professionals could diagnose it on, or the inner standing that in order for us to be human, to have and experience the reality in which we do, must exist in at least 11 dimensional space. It's just one of those spaces: length, width, height, our individual dimensional spaces. Even when we think into the past and have memories about 10 years ago, 20 years ago, part of our consciousness is going into that past dimensional space. When we think of the future, when we envision the future, part of your consciousness is exhibiting and living in the future. That's why sometimes therapists say, live in the now. Iyanla Van Zant says, live in the moment. Because you can live in the past or the future, And it's real, but it's also an illusion. It's also an illusion because you can change the past and the future with how you think. Some of us only remember the negative from our past, and it takes great effort for us to go in and remember the good. I had to do that as someone who's grown up under abuse, any kind of child abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, parental abuse. You have dark spots in your aura. You have dark spots in your history. You have dark spots in your consciousness. And you can't always see the doctor, the therapist, the psychiatrist, the psychologist, the pastor, the preacher, the imam. You work that out with your crystal in your meditation. In your meditation. And so I had to go back and consciously try and remember what was good in my childhood. Because all I can remember was the negative. All I can remember was the abuse, the violence. That stands out in your consciousness. So there are all kind of meditations that you can do in which you may feel more in control of the visions that you're getting and what really it's God and spirit is showing you. So ask more questions going into your meditation, or be more clear in your head about what you want to see, what you want to experience, what you're attempting to do for today. Now, sometimes you ain't trying to necessarily hear from spirit. It's just exercise. So you might just imagine you're on the beach and you're hearing the waves and you can feel the sand and you can feel the heat, that the sun has placed in the sand, and you can feel it radiating. You got to get that detail in what you feel and what you see while you're in the meditative state, and then take notes. And then take notes. Sometimes what you see, what you hear, won't make any sense in the moment. That's why we experience deja vu. Deja vu is another example of us crossing over into those intra-dimensional spaces that Einstein talks about. Caller, I'm going to come right back to you. Just give me a moment, beloved. I'm going to check another line. I'm going to check 323 next. I think that's Kiona, actually. 323. So I'm coming to you. How art thou?
I I am having another amazing day. How are you?
All is a blessing. Can you see my face? All is a blessing.
I just had
Yes.
to read because I was bidding on something, and so I thought it was still buffering until I'm refreshing now. I'm waiting for the commercial to stop playing.
Yeah, those commercials are irritating. But what else is going on with
They
you?
listen. I am out of Spookville because for a long time I wanted to spiritualize everything, right? I wanted to say, somebody put a black magic on me. I wanted to say that somebody did this, or somebody did this, or the ancestors blocked this, or the devil did this. And I just had a moment just talking to somebody right before the show that it wasn't any of that. It was how I showed up. It was how I presented myself. And so I'm just going to make a cognizant effort to be mindful as to how I show up. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, I can't blame Jen. I can't blame outside influences. And so this show, in your servitude, because you don't have to do this, you could easily, you could easily close up shop and get paid.
Yeah,
I really want to thank you.
yeah. I'm glad you get that.
I really want to
Some
thank
people
you.
don't get that. I could be the fortune teller, I could be the psychic reader, and just wait on readings all day. I really don't have to do this. And it's often questioned,
Mm-mm.
even by my mother. You're not eating, you're not getting proper rest, you're sitting in that chair too many hours out of the day. What are you doing? Now, I don't think she necessarily feels that way as much now. I've brought more balance to my life in the show. I am eating better. I am resting more. I am taking care of me at the same time that I administer this information. But I'm grateful for you, Kiona. What I heard you say, you didn't say it, but what I heard you say was, I'm listening to you. I'm digesting what you're
I am.
saying. You're not wasting your time doing this show.
Mm-mm.
Almost every day, you come back the next day with some what we talk about has shown up in your life, either as a life lesson or a confirmation. And so I'm grateful for that. Often on the spirit journey, I have to share, that we're on a spirit journey, and we have to be the kings, queens, gods, goddesses of our own spirit journey. So there comes a point where we can't necessarily blame. We can't keep looking outside ourselves. We can't keep viewing ourselves as the victim, as we grow spiritually. And so you get to a place where you are God, you are goddess, and then you take responsibility for all of your experiences, good or bad, negative or positive, you know, even out there, even out in the world, if you will. You get to a point where you mature spiritually, and then you have to take responsibility for your experience and for how you're viewing your experience. And as Keona say, for how you're showing up, what you're bringing to the table. And I understand that people seek, I don't know what's going on with the buffering, y'all. My phone looks fine, but my desktop is just buffering, buffering, buffering. So I don't know if y'all are seeing me or
It's
even.
not buffering on our end.
Oh,
It's
okay.
clear. You're
Okay,
clear.
good, good. Because it's crazy on my end. Yes, there comes a point where you have to take responsibility for your journey. You have to. And it doesn't mean blame. It doesn't mean guilt. It doesn't mean, okay, I now have to figure out how, the abuse that I endured, how I furthered that. That's not what I'm saying. But we all contractually agree to life before we get here. This is a universal law. We all contractually agree to come here, to be here at any point in time in history, because we have something to give, something to offer, something to do. And I understand we don't always remember that. It's not always clear to us. The trauma of passing through the birth canal and having all those memories stripped from you and having to redefine yourself, it's not easy for anyone. For anyone. And the illusion that some people sort of glide into their path more so than others is just that. It's an illusion. You never know what journey anyone took to get from point A to B. You all know just snippets of my trauma, just snippets of my past, just snippets of the abuse that I survived. Iyanla Vanzant has shared her story, has talked about being abused, beaten down, by men, being taken advantage of. So you have to go through something to get to something. It's just a part of the equation. I find people who study psychology, study drug and alcohol abuse, study family issues, family trauma, at the university level, at the training level, but has zero of that in their life. Very hard for me to connect to. Very hard for them to understand. And then there's that other element that, in this politically correct society that we live in today, that we're not supposed to talk about in this post-racial reality, and that is white supremacy and racism. We're not supposed to even say that today. Oh, there's no racism. You're being racist by even bringing up racism. But it is everywhere. It is everywhere. It's on TV. It's in the advertisements. It's in the packaging. It's in how stuff is promoted at us, sold to us. It's how the news is presented to us. And that furthers that energy of lack of trust that many of you have. You don't trust nothing. You don't trust nobody. And listen, I've been there. I was a teenager, but I've been there. And it was in that moment, it was in that crossroad that I said, God, if I'm supposed to get it, you're going to have to bring it to me. If it's supposed to make sense to me, You're going to have to say it. You're going to have to put it in my face. I can't trust these books. I can't trust these ministers. I can't trust these teachers, these people. You have got to make this clear to me for yourself in a way that a Labor Day Virgo with a show me state mama and a con man father can understand, because I can see beyond the veils. It's got to be clear, and the goddess responds to that. God responds to that, and so having your third eye open up and seeing things, in your meditation or in your life or on your spirit journey, that's what y'all are asking for. That's what y'all are asking for, and all my, overnight tarot experts, that's what y'all are asking for. You're asking for that. You're stepping into ministry, but you're also stepping into the spirit realms, in which we all interact with, intersect with every day. No matter who you are, if you're human, you're intersecting and interacting in the spirit realm every day, whether you're doing it blindly or not, whether you're doing it consciously or not. It's a part of our human reality. It's a part of the makeup. Kiona, beloved, I'm not seeing any activity in the chat room after you said call in, please, to area code 845
It's in a
277.
whole new chat now.
Okay, so I'm on the wrong page.
Yes, it's a whole new chat. The first person on this chat is from Rebecca Layton. It says greetings.
Oh, beloved Rebecca, thank you so much. Greetings, beloved. Thank you for coming by. Give me a second to get my. Oh, okay, I see it. I'm still trying to look at the old show where the buffering problem was. So I
That's
need.
where I was at, and
Yeah.
I had to get in tune. But I want to ask you something. I was going to type it, but you told me years ago, and but I wanted to talk about it today because it's been on my mind because it's relating to what I'm experiencing.
Okay. Before hold on.
You
Before
said
hold on. Hold
something
on. Hold
about
on. Hold on. Before you say that, I just want everybody to know to give me a second to delete that first show, because it's probably no good anyway. So I'm going to delete it so that people aren't confused about, like I was, what page we're actually on. Go ahead, Kiona, beloved.
okay. So you were saying something like years ago that the spiritualist is supposed to be at a distance. How a lot of times we come to spiritualists for work, but we get too clingy and we expect the spiritualist to hold our hand and be our bed maiden. Just to paraphrase what you say, not to put words in your mouth, but just to paraphrase it. And I wanted to ask you about that because it's been on my mind because you were saying like the spiritualists are supposed to stand at like the gateway or from afar, and
Um,
not supposed to just where you could just.
yeah, I don't know if I said afar or at a distance. Because now hearing you say it, it sounds really strong. But I guess what I'm saying is, even if you think about your doctor, your gynecologist, your dentist, your professionals, you expect them to be professional. You expect them to operate in the realm of their expertise. You don't expect your gynecologist to call you on Friday night and ask you, are you using condoms? You don't expect your gynecologist to check in on, Sunday morning and ask you what you did the night before. So, and I used Miss Cleo as an example. One of the things that got Miss Cleo in trouble with the law and with the feds and with the IRS was the notion that they were calling people and robocalling people and talking to family members and roommates or whoever answers the phone and getting detailed information about the client that she could then bring that back to you, in the course of the reading. So even in a normal reading, anybody who's ever had a reading with me, I shut you down at the top of the reading if you're telling me too much. Oh no, I didn't ask you for detail. I asked you a specific question. I come off a little aggressive, but that's my personality, is to be a little aggressive. I'm not being aggressive, I'm being distinct. I'm being specific. Particularly when I'm doing a reading, I'm often in trance. So respond to exactly what is being asked. Don't give me all that extra detail. And often I had the opportunity to explain why. Beloved, I don't want you telling me all that detail, because I don't want you to say, well, I did spend 15, 20 minutes telling him my story, and then he responded to that. No, no. And anybody in this room who's ever had a reading from me knows exactly that I'm telling the truth. No, I don't want to hear all that. I want you to hear me first for 30 minutes, 38 minutes, 40 minutes, and hear what Spirit is saying through me before you respond. I want you to hear what Spirit has to say first. So no, I don't allow a whole lot of conversation and detail and chit chat, and it does make it a little complex. I would like to build friendships, partnerships, outside of work relationships with other readers, with other spiritualists. But then sometimes it's, you get in their kiln and you find out that they're not really trained, or you find out that they're not really initiated, and now they want my information, or they want to become parasitic and vampiric. But then just the client, I have a client in particular, and I'm not going to identify her in any way, but her emails just be crazy. They just be crazy. They're never under 1,000 words. They're all over the place. She's always under attack. She's always being violated. Even if it's the doctor, because I might say, well, make sure you check and there's nothing going on, in any particular part of your body before you assume that it's an attack. So she'll come back to me and say, well, I did make sure I did that medical part. But then days later, the doctor violated her. The nurse violated her. So, yeah, it's a tricky thing for a teacher, a minister, an administrator, a doctor, to do their expertise and then not cross over into your friend. And it's easy to do in consulting. It's easy to do, because you want to tell your story, you want to share your pain. But I also don't want the client to get so focused on the problem that's the only focus is the problem. And I, as in my experience and with my expertise, I can see it. I can hear it. I can hear when a client is enjoying telling the story more so than finding the solution. You all got girlfriends, boyfriends, partners, friends that you can tell when they just like talking about the problem. They just like discussing, what they man and did, what they woman, is doing. Interject. I always suggest skills, tools that you can use to detect this type of gen. Interject the solution. Interject alternatives and see how they respond to that. Are they open to a solution, or do they just want to discuss the problem? So for readers, that can be problematic, especially for you new readers, you wannabe readers, I just bought a deck of cards in the last year readers. You're asking for a lot. You're asking for a lot. And so you're opening yourselves up to parasitic spirits, vampiric spirits, jinn, demons that want all of your time, want all of your energy, and only want to discuss the problem, only want to discuss what's not working, only want to discuss what's wrong. And I always, again, say, test the spirit, interject sunshine, and see how long they continue the conversation. Interject love and see how long they continue the conversation. Interject a solution People come to me, Kiona, and it's urgent. It's always so urgent. I mean, I need you right now, this minute, this hour. And then I present my protocol. I finally get into the consultation. We get past the divination, and then I get to the fix, the repair, end of the conversation. Because people can be addicted, codependent to this type of energy, and particularly readers and spiritualists, particularly those of you who think giving away your service is the way to do this. That's problematic. If I can come to you every day, all day, and for free, and hear you talk, or have you hear me talk, you're developing a codependent relationship. There's always going to be something, if I'm able to look at it, that's going to be off balance, off kilter within the dynamics of that relationship. And then how much time, energy, effort are you putting into the fix? I talk about Ifa and Fa and Voodoo a lot. And I don't necessarily go into the distinct details of the practice. But with every divination, there are chants, prayers, mantras that we have to do. Every divination. There's cleaning, there's ebo, there's personal service that we have to do every time we do a reading. Because readings release energy, release jinn, release spirits. We are inviting people to call us and vomit their jinn into our space. So if you aren't mature in the spirit, if you aren't prepared in the spirit, if you aren't educated and trained in the spirit, you're opening yourself up to a problem. And for those who still just can't envision what I'm saying, just think of the most, messiest church you know. Think of that mega church. Think of that, what do you call it, prosperity ministry church that you're familiar with. And then think about the level of gossip and drama and backbiting and nonsense that you're familiar with. That gives you some idea as to what I'm talking about. Greetings, Imani, Sankofa, Iba Orisha, Mojuba Orisha, Hoodoo Occultism. Thank you so much for always being a regular participant. Thank you, Kiona, for being present. Thank you, Mom, for giving birth to me, for loving me, for being present for me, for showing up and supporting my show with me. I appreciate you, Gary Von Sell Savage. That's my mother. Show all due respect to my mother. Thank you so much, Justice, for being present. April Anthony, thank you. Neophyte Bokur Tourist, thank you for your regular participation and attendance. Now, please give all due respect to Kiona, our moderator. Rebecca Latham, thank you so much, beloved. Keisha Smith, Helen Austin Davis. Oh my goodness, I'm blushing. It's so many people who are here. Helen Austin Davis. I didn't get into a specific topic. I talked about the spirits for the buffering. Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Thank you so much for calling. Hattiesburg, Mississippi, but I can't answer your call right now because I'm in the middle of a broadcast. But yes, Helen Austin Davis. I didn't have a specific topic formulated, but we were kind of in the spirit of sudden change and transformation, and how that happens and how that shows up, and how many of us right now, in the course of this viral weather calamity, are looking at new ways to move forward, particularly spiritual development. I'm finding that more people are seeking spirit right now than ever before. People want prayer. People want ritual work done. People want divination work done. People want consultations. People want to talk. And they're not just, complaining or concerned or worried about the calamity itself, but about life and how life is now changing for them and around them. So that's what we were talking about, Helen Austin Davis. Thank you so much. Nikki Walker, I don't think I greeted you. Thank you. Gray Skies, welcome. Welcome all my new listeners and participants. I'm truly honored and appreciative of your being here, your being present in the middle of your day. You also could be doing anything else right now. You could be napping. You could be working on, a project around your house. But I am grateful that you take the time to be here with me at high noon U.S. Central Standard Time here on Blog Talk Radio and YouTube Live simultaneously at the same time. Let me check my phone lines at area code 845 277 9143. 845-277-9143. Of course, area code 813, your mic is still open. Kiona, your mic is still open. All you have to do when you want to speak or ask a question or comment is unmute yourself and come right back in. I appreciate you muting your background noise when you're not talking. I appreciate that. And everyone else who's on the phone lines, all you have to do is press the number 1. That virtually raises your hand for me, and I will then open your mic and entertain your question, comment, or request. And beloved Helen Austin Davis, I invite you as well to call in if you have a separate device, if you're not already on your mobile. I invite you to call in with your questions, comments, requests. I invite you to bring your own topic. I invite you to bring your own subject matter to this sacred space that we might share it and talk about it and discuss it. We were talking about testing the spirit. People are experiencing dreams and visions, which are biblical, by the way, and various other spiritual experiences that they want to make sense of, that they want to clarify. So we were discussing that as well. Hola, Orisha, como está? Thank you so much for always showing up and being present. Lovelace, beloved, I can't pronounce your first name. I'm going to try though. Naia Lodge? Is it Naia Lodge? Lovelace? Help me out, beloved, on that. Thank you so much for being a first-time participant and listener. Divine Self-Healing, thank you. Star 23, thank you so much for calling in or chatting in from Texas. I'm grateful for you, and as always, we want to share in all levels of blessing and peace and love and prosperity in this sacred space. But we also share real practical information, spiritual information which transcends your religion, which transcends your belief.
I have a question.
Yes, beloved, come on in.
Sorry. I was curious. You know how a lot of times they say, "Oh, your ancestors or your spirits looking over you." Is there any way to figure out which ancestor it is, or to get to know them or anything? You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, beloved. Do you see my face? Yeah, you're talking about my ancestral work in divination. You're talking about my ancestral work in divination. Now, you don't require initiation to work with your ancestors. They're in your blood. Many of you already got a table. Many of you already got the obituaries set up. Many of you already got pictures of those who've gone on, on a particular table. Let me answer my door, Block Talk Radio. Thank you. Hello. How are you doing, beloved? Okay, I need you to speak quickly because right now I'm live on the radio and I'm live on YouTube Live. In fact, the whole world can see you right now.
Cool.
So I need you to speak quickly so I can go back to my show.
All right. My name is Onishina. I'm switching vicinities. I've done nothing wrong to no one, and I'm getting ready to clean my space and hopefully get an altar going at some point.
And you need my assistance.
And I need
Okay, I'll be glad to help you. I just can't do it right now.
I want to, but I need the oldest and wisest queer black practitioner in New Orleans has always been Divine Prince. Period. Lots of folks will try to discredit that, discredit how good the person actually is. Um,
Okay.
but the spirits and the ancestors
I see you
alike,
carrying your bleach. I like
the
that.
spirits and the ancestors alike know that Divine Prince is the truth.
Thank you, beloved.
All right.
Thank you. Forgive the interruption, y'all. I shall. I gotta spray my packages down. Where's my Lysol? I must have moved it. Give me a moment. Please forgive me, Blog Talk Radio. You know, every time I get a package, it's a process that goes with that. So I've got to spray everything down with the Lysol, including my hands and this phone, because I switched up phones from one hand to the other while I was talking to Onisha now. And when you spray your Lysol, you got to let this stuff dry. I usually let it dry for 10 or 15 minutes. And then I come back and I'm going to flip it over. And then I'll flip it over and I'll spray the other side. And then I'll pick it up and carry it into the kitchen on the floor. And then I'll take my bleach water and my bleach towel. And I'll go over it again as I unpack the groceries or whatever it is out of the box. I know y'all just saw me touch my nose with my pinky. That's bleach water. That's bleach water. So give me a second. I apologize for the interruption. But one has to eat. One has to live. And one now has to do it in a way that one survives it and doesn't die from it. So I'm bleached my hands. I'm really giving my silver hell because, you know, silver can't handle all this bleach. But it will eventually evaporate out of the silver. I could also use a silver cloth and clean the silver. I could also put it in ammonia, but, you know, ammonia and bleach create, you know, a really weird interaction. So I usually just let it oxidize and let it evaporate over time. You know, shower in it, bathe in it, and keep putting soap on it, and my silver will shine again. The effects of the bleach will disappear, will wear off. Thank you, Keisha Smith. Yeah, honey, I don't play. Okay. I don't play with the mailman, with the FedEx man, with the UPS, with my friends. As you just noticed, he knows. You don't come any closer than that sidewalk. Don't step up on these steps. He knows how to do this. Thank you, beloved. Thank you, Ariel Darilas. Greetings, beloved. Greetings, Haitian Hogan. Thank you so much for being present with us today on Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. For my new listeners, we just had a momentary interruption. I had to go to the door and answer my jet.com. I get a lot of my food from jet, Jet.com, like canned goods, large quantities of things, double packages of large quantities of things. I also play Walmart.com, Whole Foods, Amazon.com like a video game. And I keep them in a tab. I refresh until those appointments are available. And then I get my appointment. I order my food. You know, particularly with Walmart, you typically have until a certain hour to add to your order or adjust your order. So I get an appointment, even if I'm not clear on what I want, because right now the appointments are running 2, 3, 4 days away. So I got an appointment yesterday for Walmart for Sunday. So Sunday morning they're gonna deliver from Walmart from whatever I put in my shopping cart between now, and Sunday. I had a Walmart come yesterday. Many of you know, I had put that in last Sunday. So for those of you who are finding it difficult to get an appointment, I did complain to Walmart. I have seen an adjustment. So it used to be just 2 days, and then you'd go to the site, and both of those days would be booked. Now it's 3 days, 4 days, 5 days ahead. You just have to go ahead and book ahead, hold on to your coins, and fill your shopping cart up. Up until that 4 hours before, or whatever that time window is before we're allowed to stop changing our order, and you'll get your food. No one should have to go to the store right now. I'm not trying to hear that. I just talked to a few of my friends this morning. No one should be going out. Pick up, Justice. Pick up might be okay. Don't touch them. Don't interact with them a whole lot. Let them put the food in your trunk while you stay in your car. And then when you get home, if you have gloves, put your gloves on. If you don't, take your packages out without touching anything and carry them into your kitchen floor, and then bleach your hands, and then bleach each item as you pull them out of the bag. Hey, Rob Stone, thank you so much for being a regular listener and participant. I'm grateful for you. Neophyte Bokur, I think I acknowledged you already. Anyone who I might have missed, please forgive me. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Yeah, Justice, I don't own a car. I've never owned a car. I can't afford a car. I would love to have a car right now. I'd be able to go and see my mother a little bit more regularly. My mother lives a few hours away from me. But so I don't do pickup. I have a few friends that are doing pickup, but I'm primarily encouraging and supporting delivery. Even with pickup, it might be opportunities for you to be breathed on or to make contact with people. And by all means, I just don't support the going to the store unless you absolutely have to. You can't get someone else to go. You can't get that, one oldest person in your neighborhood who's healthy to go and grab for you and bring it back. Then I would get delivery. Thank you so much on this day that we acknowledge sudden change and transformation. Things that come out of the blue, things that come without any warning, things that force us in the moment to adjust our thinking, to adjust our patterns, to adjust our routines, to adjust how we do things. And if you have not gotten a clue yet, it's a new day. It's a new day. It's a new day. It's a new world. Things will never be the same again. Things will never be the same again. Even if they find a solution, even if they find a fix, even if they find a repair, our world has changed now forever, forever. And it'll be at least a year for any kind of vaccination, at least a year. So society, the new reality is 2021. I tweeted that yesterday. The new reality is 2021. Won't be no festivals, won't be no Essence Fest, won't be no Jazz Fest. All the fall events have already been canceled. So the idea that it's going to happen in October, no, it's not. No, it's not. For my locals, no, it's not. You haven't been paying attention to the news. You haven't been paying attention to Cantrell and the governor. It won't be no fall events. Won't be no winter events. And I predicted yesterday it may not be no Mardi Gras 2021. May not be no Mardi Gras 2021. It takes us all year to plan for Mardi Gras, normally. It takes all year to plan for every year's carnival season. So how do you now plan for carnival season when nobody can move? Very few people can do anything. Of course, my fellow masking Indians and Maroons, and Carnival Cruise and the Zulus. You could sew your suits, get your costumes together, get your look together, but you can order stuff from offline. But how now do we organize correctly and properly Carnival 2021, which falls in February, by the way? If I believe it's early in February, how do we now do that with the stay at home, with the lockdown? It's not going to happen. Or it's going to be very different in how it manifests. I can see Indians, suiting up at home on front of their house, and photographing it or video, taping it and then posting that. But I don't see us coming together in groups and crowds, and I just don't see it, not in February. And some of you are saying, oh, but you're looking too far ahead. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm paying attention to the government, to the politicians, to what's happening in other countries. We're on hold for a minute. Tamara Bragg, beloved, I'm not shutting down initiations. There's no reason to. A great deal of what is involved in initiations, and particularly with me and in my house, is study and instruction. So that doesn't stop. The ability to transmit books and documents and video and music, through virtual resources, through email, through WhatsApp, through YouTube Live, through Skype. This is the time. This is the season for those technologies and for those skills. So initiations have new people just in the last month. So initiations have not stopped. In fact, Tamara, people are taking initiations even more seriously right now because they do have the time to read, to study, to do what beloved at the door was just talking about, to set up their shrines, to clean their new places, to get their their house in order to bring in spirit, to bring in Orisha, to bring in Loa. So for me, initiations now are at this time, at this season, are better than ever. The only component that's missing is the coming together. Annually, I do 2 ceremonies, and then another that either runs the last week of October or the first week of November. And that is in question now. October, November is in question now. They're questioning the NFL football season. So October, November is in question. If I'm able to do so, then April 1st or the first week of April next year, that ceremony would be powerful. The house would be packed. Paul and everybody from out of town could absolutely be here if we're in a safe environment, if things have evolved, if things have changed. But in terms of initiation, no, people can absolutely continue to study and practice and initiate with me right now. And many are finding this to be the opportune time to do so. They have time to study. They have time to read. They have time to pay attention. They have time to clean and set up shrines and altars. So this is a great time to consider initiating, and particularly with me and with this house. I don't know how it's happening in Cuba and in Puerto Rico and places like that now where people really can't travel to. I'm sure their local ministries are still in motion. The local elays and houses might still be doing certain services. I've said before, beloved, on this show, nobody comes in the house. I didn't let Osha know in, not because I was broadcaster, but normally I wouldn't let him in during the virus. And I'm grateful that he's walking around with a whole jug of bleach. Because some of y'all don't get it. You saw him on camera walking around with a whole jug of a whole gallon of bleach. Yeah, so he can wash his hands and wash anything that he deal. This is some real voodoo here. If y'all haven't figured it out, this is some real voodoo here. Understand the dynamics of Omolu. Understand the dynamics of Babalu Oye, who can call and send infirmities, calamities, sickness, disease. Practitioners of Omolu in West Africa by some white book authors were accused of giving people smallpox, of scraping the skin and passing that smallpox on during initiation to Babalu Oye initiates. I don't know that to be true. I haven't found any backup for that in any African authored books, any African authored history. I've only found that in books written by people outside the community. But the idea, the notion that we who have been gifted with the mysteries of Babalu Oye would be sort of waddling in that is just crazy. Babalu Oye really is the antidote. The antidote. Babalu Oye is the fix, the repair, the medicine, the antidote to the calamity, to the problem, to the dis-ease. And in synchronizing amalgamation, that Catholic, that Christian imagery that has been imprinted on voodoo and ATR practices, you see Saint Lazarus, you see San Lazaro, you see Papa Lazaro, you see Christ on crutches, you see Christ bruised, spears in his side, representing sickness and disease. And even the magical book says, and my mama is probably here to witness, that Christ took on all disease. He took on all infirmities while he was on the cross, according to the story, according to the magical book. He took in all infirmities at that time and gave us the gift of healing, gave us the gift of self-empowerment. So Babalu Oye is about the antidote. It's about the fix, the repair. I would use protection as a loose word, Tamara Bragg, in this instance. Because as I said, Babalu Oye can sin and take on infirmity. He can give it to you, but he could also take it from you and then take it upon himself. So we prefer to say he's the antidote. The antidote. So if you do get crossed up, if you do fall into disrepair, if you do, run into the problem, he's the antidote. He's the fix. I've been suggesting and sharing, and my mama might say preaching loudly and long-windedly, not to get this at all. Don't get this at all. No one has to get this virus. Let's be clear. No one has to get this virus. I'm not getting it at all. I don't care to hear about antibodies and, y'all do the antibodies. You all who've already made contact and survived and, we're grateful for your service. Give your blood and let them take your antibodies. I'm not developing no antibodies because I'm not getting this virus. And so by the time I step out into the world, there'll be a solution to this. They would have gotten a hold on this. But I'm telling y'all, it ain't going to happen in 2020. It's not going to happen in 2020. Let's see. 845-277-9143. That is my call-in listening number. Let me look at my phone lines. No one new has their hand raised. Okay, Erico 404 just raised their hand. My computer's a little bit slow for some reason. 404. So give me a second. I'm still trying to open your line. Okay, Erico 404. Your mic is now open, beloved. Who's calling and where are you calling from? Area code 404. Is that a Georgia area code or is that a Wisconsin area code? Area code 404.
It's Atlanta.
Oh, that okay.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, beloved. Greetings and salutations.
Greetings and blessings. So I had a question.
Yes.
I had, in the beginning of my enlightenment, I realized that Christianity wasn't quite serving me in the way I needed to be served, and I wanted to connect with my ancestors. So I did a prayer petition to them, and about a week later, in my bedroom, I was coming home from work. I bend over to change my shoes, and it's as though I got hit in the head. I hit my head on some kind of metal. Nothing's there but a chair. My head is looking into the cosmos. I'm seeing stars and planets, okay? And it's a pull. And I have to actually pull my head back out of this realm. And as I stood up, I'm still trying to like gather my balance as if I had been hit in the head. And I just never ever thought anything else about it. I've always thought about it afterward, but never really with any understanding as to what that may have been. But it was in the same area where I had made the petition to my ancestors. I just wanted to know if you could shed some light on that.
That's a powerful story. Now, just before I go into it, you did mention the chair, so you absolutely did not make contact with the chair or anything else physically in the room.
No, I did not.
You had what I describe as a download, and it often happens. It can happen naturally. It can happen through prayer, petition, meditation, begging God for intervention, begging the ancestors for a response. And sometimes, particularly with ancestors, I describe them as being a little aggressive. They typically kick in when we can't hear God, when we can't see God. Because God, as my mother teaches us, speaks in a soft, still voice. God speaks in a soft, still voice, requiring us to be quiet, to be still. And many of us can't do that or won't do that or don't have the means to. And so our ancestors, which exist in your blood, which have had a human incarnation, that know good and bad and well times and sad times, they will bump you on the head. Your ancestors will knock you on the head. The ancestors will push you down. I often describe it as you're stepping out into the road. You don't see the 18-wheeler coming, but your ancestors do. They're going to push you to the curb, and you're going to feel that curb. And you might not like that, in the moment. It might not feel good to you in the moment. It might seem like a challenge or a problem to you in the moment. But when you look up and realize that you were saved from that passing catastrophe, no one is never not grateful for the interaction or the intercession of ancestors and angels. So you got what I call a download. I encourage it consciously by people working with quartz crystal, minerals, stones, and focusing that energy above the fourth chakra, above your heart center, and into your head. And God will literally give you downloads. I remember as a young teenage, runaway out in the world, begging God for an answer, begging God for clarity, begging God to get involved in my business and make things make sense and fix and repair things for me. And I always had the experience similar to what you just described, and it always reinforced me. And I don't mean selfish me. I mean, go within. Who are you? Go back to who you are. Where did you come from? Who were you before the abuse? Who are you before the indoctrination? Who were you before the colonization? Who are you? Who are you in the bosom of God? which we all rest in the bosom of God. There's a part of us in Yoruba that's called Egbe, your spirit double, that has never left God, that still exists with God, but has the role of assisting you, helping you, moving you forward. And so what you got was a download. What you got was a consciousness shift, like lightning, Shango, like Shango and Oya dancing, and that information was dropped in your head. And I find that to be very common with particularly former Christians. And the more religious you were when you were in church, when you were following the Bible, the more likely you are to have a dramatic experience like what Beloved just described. Because there's a part of you that, you know, depending on where you are in your journey, does not let that voice go. You know, I can still quote scripture. I can still invoke that energy on a dime if I wanted to, if I needed to, if I had to. So your trust level is challenged when you're now trying to explore something else. You probably prayed just like me, you know, God, you got to show me. If I'm going to make sense of this, you got to make it make sense, because I can't trust these humans around me. So when I started praying that way and operating in that vein, I started getting downloads. I started seeing miracles, miraculous things started happening in my life. And people around you don't get it at first. My mom and them didn't get it at first. My sister and them didn't get it at first. Oh, he's just on another tangent. Oh, he's doing whatever, you know. And now they appreciate the development. Now they appreciate the growth. Now they can point out character, personality, budget, things that have shifted in my world as a direct result of walking this path. So I say it all the time. ATR ain't for everybody. Voodoo ain't for everybody. Stick to your church, stick to your Bible, stick to your Quran, you know, if that's truly where you are. And a lot of people are operating in whatever path, caller, without any real, true, authentic dedication to it. We live in a day and time of dibbling and dabbling. You know, I can research anything on Google. I can pull up anything on Bing and look into it, look at it. But now people are equating that with training. They're equating that with initiation. They're now equating that with, you know, having been mentored clearly into something, and that's just not in balance. So I appreciate your experience. I hope I've given you clarity to the experience. I will say, as I said earlier with the other caller, you can't run from it. You can't hide from it. You can't turn it off. If indeed your third eye is being open, if indeed you're receiving spiritual downloads, you can't go back. And I tried. I tried for my mama, sitting on the organ, the piano, in my bare feet, with my African clothes on and my long dreadlocks, with the whole church looking at me like I was crazy. I tried. I tried for money back in 2005. I was doing full-time security at the time. And we had a temporary supervisor came through there who was a church pastor, a young church pastor in his 20s, and needed someone on the piano. And he paid me, you know, to be a minister of music for about a month, you know, until he brought in this young queen, and I mean Sissy, who was, you know, phenomenal on the keyboard, but was a little bit more worldly and a little bit more secular than me. And he replaced me with that guy. And I'm not mad, you know. I was there for the time I was supposed to be there. I'm not mad. Hurricane Katrina came not long after that. And just like this virus changed all of our lives. So you had a spiritual download. You did step into what I call inter and intra-dimensional space. You can find definitions for inter and intra singularly online. But you often can't find, if you're trying to find a definition, if you just type in intra-dimensional, often you're not going to get a response from that. It's very little covered. We're going into math, quantum metaphysics, Einstein level understanding of dimensional space. I try to make it simple here. And so just to be human, we have to coexist in intradimensional space, at least 11 dimensional spaces at once. And it is said in the textbooks, this is easily Googleable, searchable. Look up dimensional space, look up dimensions, look up string theory, look up 11 dimensional spaces, and you'll get the information that I'm talking about right now. So in at least one of those spaces, it mirrors, caller, your reality. It looks just like your reality.
Thank you.
So we don't think
Thank you.
when we go into that place that we're transitioning into another dimensional space. So you needed to see that. So you went into a dimensional space that does not mirror your reality, that does not look like what things look like here normally. So you just traverse space. You could have gone through a wormhole. You could have had your head in a Stargate. Pull up the reruns for the Stargate television show. Watch the Stargate movie that me and my mom watched together. I think that came out in the 90s. And get a better understanding using your imagination of what a Stargate is. You went through a Stargate. If you're familiar with that TV show, Stargate, you know what I'm talking about. You did see stars. Your head went into a Stargate. And it probably was facilitated by your deep desire for clarity. Like I said, people leaving the church, walking away from that level of indoctrination, need answers. Seriously need answers. And so you traversed time and space. Thank you, Kiona. Beloved caller, I'm going to keep your mic open. So just mute yourself for a minute. I'm going to come back to you in a moment if you have other questions or you need me to reinforce what I've said. Everybody who's already spoken, your mic is always going to be open. Just mute yourself. Be respectful. And if you need to come back, just jump on in, announce yourself, and I'll respond to your question, comment, or request. I don't have any other callers at the moment, but I am looking at activity in the chat room. Let's see. Kiona, what's being said?
So we have a Spraggy the Truth. He says, good afternoon. He says, I dream symbols and sigils a lot and don't understand anything about it. Any advice?
Okay. Spraggy the Truth. That's cute. I don't know if you're male or female, but that's cute. So if you're male, don't be offended. But that's a nice name. Dreaming about symbols, sigils, signs, that comes from the magical book. The magical book predicted that old men would dream visions, young men would see dreams. Just like the previous caller, it's another form of interacting with dimensional space. It's another way of your mind, your body, your consciousness traversing your present moment in time space and taking you to other levels. Signals, signs are obviously embedded messages that have to be deciphered. It suggests someone who might need training, who might need initiation, who might need further study, because you're not being specific about the symbols or the signals or sigils. And that would be very important to determining what's being said. They could be suggesting a particular path, a particular deity, a particular message. And so I strongly suggest that you document, that you journal, that you record. Everybody's inner language is different. Everyone's inner spiritual language is different. Everybody's communication with God is different. And it's not English, by the way. And so the symbols have to be deciphered over time. You'll see patterns of messages. If you would just start keeping a journal, and write those things down, what happens, how you feel, what might happen around you at the time. Um, yeah, and you'll get clarity. If I need to say more, beloved, call me at 845-277-9143, and then press the number 1, and I'll be glad to respond to you more specifically. I'm looking at Imani Sankofa, quantum jumping. That's what I'm talking about. Quantum jumping is another way of looking at time travel, intra time travel, and often people who are third eye open, consciousness centers are activated. You're in meditation, you're in prayer, you're in yoga, you're dealing with Orisha, you're using crystals, you're paying attention to astrology, you're paying attention to your dream state. You're well on your journey. And some of us are advanced in the journey. And so quantum jumping is about seeing time and space before you, after you, what came before, what comes after, that's relevant to your present. I don't believe that we are ever given access to, privy to this information for pleasure, for entertainment, for carnality, for our own personal needs and desires, other than spirit advancement of ourselves and also for others and those around us. Area code 318, your hand keeps going up and down, up and down. So it's like 1 minute you got a question and the next minute you don't. Oh, Hoodoo, you got too much background noise. Hoodoo occultism, you got too much background noise. What's going on? I'm going to mute you again. Yeah, Hoodoo occult is a 1 minute his hand is up, and then by the time I get back to it, his hand is down. Now he's not responding to me, and he's got a whole lot of background noise. So he's still on the phone lines, Kiona, but he might be fueling up or doing something on the truck right now because he lowered his hand.
May I say something, please?
Yeah.
A lot of people, this is not an attack or a jab, but this is just an observation. A lot of people come on different lives because they are self-initiate and they practice. So a lot of people want to watch and not participate when they're not even serving the spirits properly. Just because someone put online that you're supposed to serve a spirit on a certain day, which that's not true, or a particular color, which is not true. And then you come on and then you want to watch and say, oh, I'm going to take this and take this. A wise person told me a long time ago that a little bit of knowledge to a fool is a dangerous thing. This is not church.
That's right.
This is not a mosque. When you come on this path, you have to do the work or the spirit will expose you. So this is not for entertainment. This is not for play. This is not to give you a little bit of information and then you go and get you a goblet and put water in it and see if it counts the bubbles and thinks that you got a reading. Don't do that. Let's ask the questions. Let's participate and let's get into it because there's other things that we could be doing. We're here to service. I'm here to learn. This is not a game. There are 30 people watching and nobody is saying anything. We don't have it figured out.
Beloved, listen, I appreciate you saying what I've said to the point that I'm blue in the face now. I almost feel like if I complain, if I say it, it does sound like a criticism. It does sound like a jab. So I just stopped saying it. And as you notice, Hoodoo occultism, I'm going to open your mic again. In a minute. I just stopped saying it. I just keep showing up. I just keep doing my work. And it's really the people who are getting it, who are paying attention, who do contact me after the show, that really keep this moment in time space alive. And of course, you and Hoodoo occultism, and the people who actually do participate in the show. But you are now seeing, as a moderator, as an administrator, you are now seeing what I see every day. Just imagine how I'm viewing it from behind the camera. I get statistics from YouTube about this show. I get statistics from Blog Talk Radio about this show. I know the extent of my reach. I know how far this show is going and how many people are listening and participating. But, if I get into my own flesh about it, Hoodoo occultism, because I know you online with me. I'm going to come to you in a minute. I get in my feelings and I start thinking, do people really hate me that much? Are people really prejudiced against me that much that you're willing to sit at my table? What's Erykah Badu's song, Apple Tree? You want to partake from my table, from my fruit, but you don't want to commit to anything. You don't want to communicate anything. And then the worst thing, which Kiona just suggested, is that you take away and then try and duplicate it, then try to copy it, then try to use it in your practice, in your brand, in your demonstration, as if you really are connected to that. And those people always, yeah. Hold on, let me, beloved, just give me a second to acknowledge Hoodoo occultism. Hoodoo occultism, your mic is open, but you got way too much background noise.
Hey, how y'all doing?
We doing great. Peace and blessings.
Y'all can hear me?
Just a little. You got a lot of background noise.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to hurry up and ask my question and get out of there and come back and ask the question when I ain't got no background noise. But,
I hear you good now.
Yeah, to piggyback off what Kiona saying, the people, they don't see, if you don't have the questions to ask, you're not ready to be on your own and have an initiation, think you're initiated, do all this spiritual work. If you can't ask a question, then, there's a lot of other problems you have to figure out before you get on your own. And I have a lot of questions to ask, but I'm not ready yet. You know what I mean? And I need a mentor. So the people that in the chat just ask questions because it's nothing wrong with it. You learning. You're trying to learn. Don't take it as he's going to give you the secret. He's not. But learn much as possible. Put your conscious mind there to get initiated. The reason why I keep on coming on every day is because I want to be in that energy. So I show up every day. I'm at work every day when I'm here talking to y'all. Even if I'm at work, I'm still showing up. So y'all do the same.
I appreciate that, beloved. I appreciate both you and Kiona identifying what I have to look at every day and then voicing it, speaking to it. Maybe people will hear it from you and receive it from you better than they have from me. I want to respond to Arisha's question in the chat about past life regression. Past life regression, I think, is a very powerful tool. Past life regression can be both guided, like a guided meditation, where you have a facilitator to administer sort of the pathway that you walk down into regression. Past life regression can also be done on your own. There's a very popular way of doing past life regression that exists among practitioners of witchcraft and paganism and just general voyeurs, if you will. And that is to use a mirror in a dark room with a candle. And you look into your eyes, you look into your face, and over time you begin to change. You begin to morph. You begin to see other identities that might be concealed behind the veils. This is something that I did 8, 9 years old. If my mother's listening, she has no idea I was doing that kind of stuff at that age. And I commonly did it in the guest bedroom downstairs. It was big enough, it was isolated, it had a huge dresser top mirror, and I could sit on the end of that bed and look into that mirror and do this type of shadow work. It's a form of shadow work. Another way, of course, is ancestral work and divination. And through that, we can also reveal past life, take you into guided past life regression, and have you recall past life for purpose. If we really understood the degree of past lives, it's too many to count. Just as it would be too many ancestors to count if we noted every set of grandparents on both sides, mother and father, all the way back to the continent. I know for me, it's somewhere around 360 to 370 or more sets of grandparents. So we don't remember every past life all the time. We remember what's important. We remember what's pertinent. We remember what is to help us, to assist us in the present journey. But we don't remember every single past life. And we're not all kings and queens. We're not all male or female. We switch gender. We switch race. We switch ethnicity. We switch class and status when we go into past life regression, and how that shows up for us in the present. What book would I suggest today? Kiana, now you know for me that's there's never one book. There's never one book. I say read them all. I say choose a topic, choose a subject matter. It might be mentalism, it might be spiritualism, it might be culture, it might be a particular ethnic group. That's how I do it. Choose a topic, choose a subject, choose an area of interest, and then go in there. I know you can't physically go to a physical library, because at a physical library, I might close my eyes and just reach, for a book in math or in science or in metaphysics or whatnot. I don't have a particular book in mind right now for you to read. If I look around, we keep playing these social. Hold on for a minute, beloved. If I look around, you see people with stacks of book on their shoulder in the social media. If I pointed out what's visible to me right now, the Quran is visible to me right now. This book here, which I'm featured in, is visible to me right now. This book is on masculinity, so it's about men and fashion and how we understand masculine and feminine in how we demonstrate. The De Lagoon is visible to me. I have a Crystal Tarot book. The Crystal Ally book is visible to me. I have a book of Odus. I have a book of Bebes. So just choose a book. Just choose a subject. Just choose an area of interest and just start. Just start. Just start. Go ahead, Hoodoo Occultism. What you got for me, beloved?
A good book to read on past life progression is a book called Many Lives, Many Masters. I think they got it on audiobook on YouTube you can listen to.
Many Lives, Many Masters. Did you hear? Now, beloved, go ahead. Hoodoo, go ahead.
The question I wanted to ask you today was about, you brought up earlier about white supremacy, right?
Yes.
The question I wanted to ask you is, far as, you know, the media, right? And you know, some producers and directors, they put black people in movies in a negative light.
Mm-hmm.
How do one protect themselves psychically from, you know, negative self-image when they dealing with these movies? Like some of these, even these cartoons, they have, you know, sexual gestures in them and stuff like that. So how do people protect themselves from like psychic attacks through imagery?
First, I'm going to say about the same way you would prepare your child. So you don't let your child watch certain things, or if you do, you're right there to explain what's happening. A parent always wants to give their child their opinion first. Have them grow up on the platform that the parent is operating in first. So you would have to do the same for yourself. First, watch your inner language. What is your inner language? And I don't mean you specifically, Hoodoo. I mean anyone who's listening. Are you calling yourself Are you calling yourself nigga? Are you using negative self language? You know, that is also being reinforced by magazines, by news, by TV shows, by movies. You know, by packaging. So you got to first be clear, because many people are walking around. How many of you really paid attention when they took the handkerchief off of Aunt Jemima's head and gave her Florence from Jefferson's hairstyle, you know, and kind of modernized her? How many of you even paid attention? How many of you even noticed? How many of you even cared? And so that's how easily that what Hoodoo occultism is suggesting, that they slip this imagery in. It's not always as in your face, you know, as a David Chappelle, as a Keenan, what's the two comedians? The two comedians. I can't think of their names right now. Y'all always as obvious as In Living Color. It's not always as obvious as Jefferson's, or even the show that Jefferson's was birthed from, All in the Family, where Archie Bunker gave you redneck white supremacists, you know, to the best of their ability on TV. He never said nigga, but you got that. You know, he was very clear about racial attitudes. So first, you got to start with yourself and your own inner language and what you expect of yourself. With a title and a name like DivinePrince, you got to walk in that all the time, and have no fear. I get challenged on it all the time. You know, I get mocked on it all the time. People make shady comments about it all the time. Even my delivery people, my mail people, who now know my name, who now know Hoodoo Central, House of the DivinePrince, who probably got back in their truck and Googled it, know that it's about the voodoo. They have my picture on, you know, on my picture is on my front door. The sign that you all often see displayed right here to the right of me, which I use to block my kitchen, that's on my front door. My skull face is on my front door with my website. And its design is slow down, you know, tourists showing up at my door. So people know. Some of you are fearful about your mama and your daddy and your brothers and sisters and your friends really knowing this is your path. But like Kiona said, if you're authentic and you're really walking a spiritual path, you can't put no covers on. You can't put no mask on. You can't go into, you know, sort of hiding. So I'm right out there. I'm right out there. And so Hoodoo occultism, you have to be clear about who you are. And you have to be sure your children, you know, your mate, the people who you live with, understand that, so that they do recognize the shots. And people are very offended when I respond to the shots too soon, too quickly. I told the story about the Uber driver the other day and how that conversation broke down after I told him all my, Christian history, Christian experience. But the minute I said, but now I'm a voodoo priest, oh, baby, his whole disposition broke down. So that's how you break down these walls. You got to know who you are, and you got to know enough to call it in the moment. Whether it's in your face, at the checkout counter, at the register, the friend, the family member on the phone, or if it's an advertisement. You got to know it when you see it. There's always the little shot in advertisement at what's not new, what's not modern, what's not trending, what's not, pop cultural. So there's that undercurrent of what's not being said directly. You don't see me on, my image very much. You don't see our image very much. You don't see people representing people who are now practicing indigenous culture, ATR culture. You don't see that, or it's a joke. I'm trying to remember. I've seen some sitcoms that, what's the girl who was on The View? The lesbian, who got her own child. She's a child actress. She started on the Cosby Show. What's her name? Help me out, y'all. Help me, Kiona. She was on the Cosby Show as a child actress. Now she's an adult. She was on The View for a while. She came out as a lesbian. One of her shows has her name, Raven Simone.
Raven Simone.
Raven Simone. Okay, so that's a good example of someone who, got superimposed, got stereotyped. Oh, she's cute, child actor. That's Raven Simone. And then when she got older, and particularly during that time when she was on The View, and her ideals came to the surface. Ideals. Ideals are different than your opinion. Because you can hear my opinion. You can hear my conversation. But if you're really listening, you hear my ideals. You hear where my morality meter is. You hear where my integrity meter is. You hear where my line is drawn, even without me saying it. So you got to be clear, and you got to make sure your children are clear about who they are. Your kings, your queens, your gods, your goddesses. You have the ability to create. We have history. We got to know our history, who our inventors are, who our writers are, who our movers and shakers are, at the community. And make sure that we know that, it's not just who's celebrity. It's not just who's famous. We all contribute something. We all bring some value. So if you're not clear about that, those little hidden shots and that hidden, what do you call it when they can mix in hidden messages in the visual? When they can mix in hidden, words, it might be a second flash of a word, hungry, go eat, that might be embedded, subliminal messages that might be embedded in advertisement. If you're not conscious of who you are, then yeah, some of that stuff can penetrate. Now, yeah, I keep crystals around my computer. I keep crystals and selenite around my TV and radio. But ultimately, that barrier protection is right here. It's at the Ori level. It's at the third eye level. It's about who you really believe you are. Because sometimes, even with your friends, in the course of a conversation, they can throw a shot in and you don't catch it right away. It might be 3 sentences later where you might come out and say, wait a minute, what did you just say? Or what did you mean by that? That's how tricky the subliminal messages are. So you got to be clear about who you are. You all are running out of time to call me on my phone lines. So if you're not already on the phone lines, I won't be able to hear you. You won't be able to speak again. And my Blog Talk Radio is acting a little weird. So I don't know how well my connection is. It might just be my chat, and the radio might be fine. But if you're already on the phone lines, 305 323 813, 213 314, you'll be able to unmute yourself with your question or comments. But it's running out of time. It's probably too late for you to now call in to 845-277-9143 with your live question, comment, or request. You will have to type them in all capital letters in the chat for Keona and I to see. Hoodoo occultism, I do see Denzel Washington said he was taken over by Malcolm X spirit while shooting the movie. Yeah, that can happen. Possession is a powerful thing. Possession is a common thing to some degree in Haitian voodoo. You've heard me talk before about the over-reliance in Haitian voodoo on possession as opposed to divination. In Ifa, pounding of the palm nuts, casting of the cowrie shells, casting of the cola nuts. Divination is almost second nature to Ifa, to African-based tradition systems. And even our shells and our palm nuts is a reduced, simpler practice than what's really done in West Africa, where grids are drawn on the ground and palm nuts are then tossed up and cowrie shells are tossed up. But even forms of divination where animal tracks get involved in the divination. So it's really a complex thing. Possession is about spirit coming into the body, taking over the body, using the body to speak, using the body to deliver a message. So in Haitian voodoo, and even in my voodoo and Louisiana voodoo, to some degree, possession is a part of divination, particularly in ceremony, where spirit will come through and Loa and Orisha and sometimes ancestors, like for instance in a Misa, which translates from Spanish into English as a white table, where you're inviting ancestors, you're inviting Eguns, but you're also inviting what's called Gitana, gypsies and spirit guides and Sufi spirits and old world spirits to come through and speak. So even in a Misa, you might experience possession. Just like getting the Holy Ghost, there should be some controls. It shouldn't be wild and out of control. And there are certain spirits that come through that are aggressive,
90 seconds.
that are aggressive, like Ogu, like Shango, like Legba, that have to be maintained in a possession. But it should come through to give a message, to share a message, to offer something, some clear, verifiable, provable information. Just like speaking in tongues. It shouldn't be gibberish. Even the Bible says that it must be a translator present to give body and context to what is being said, to what is being spoken. But possession is where both negative and positive spirits, because demons can possess, jinn can possess. There's some of you under the sound of my voice right now that's walking with jinn and you don't even know it. That's showing up in your work and you don't even know it. And sometimes they, I've said this on previous shows, sometimes they will answer your prayer. Sometimes they'll help you hit the number. Sometimes they'll help you in gambling. Sometimes they'll help you mess up a happy home, a happy relationship, because you just got to have that.
10 seconds.
Because you just got to have that woman. So possession is not always a positive thing and should be done in the appropriate environment, in the appropriate context for possession. Beloved, if you have more to say or more that you want me to say.
I wish people would stop doing. Please stop lying on the spirit. I am so tired of people talking about that this blue wall appeared to them and that little wall appeared. If you're not servicing your ancestors, they don't know who you are because you have no one on the other side to vouch for you. So these walls are not showing up to you. You have these images in your mind because you've been on social media and you went to sleep and that image appeared to you because they don't know who you are. And you're not servicing them properly. You're not using their colors. You don't know their language. You don't even know how to go to their door. You're not giving your offerings because everything has a cost. So you can't show up as you are. So
And
let's not play there with this.
And don't call me and lie
I come
about
here
it.
and I expose myself every single day because I am required to, because I can't be phony.
And I beg of you, don't call me with the lie. I can see the lie every single time. You know, how they work it into the, well, I initiated over here, but my godparents died. Or I initiated over there, but, well, it was a problem and we fell out and blah, blah, blah. But I got this in my house and I got that in my house and I'm working SU. Beloved, what's the SU's name? Well, it's SU. No, your SU should have a name. Beloved, is it a hole in the bottom of your SU? Oh, yeah. Okay, so you went and bought that at a store. You went and bought that at a Britannica. I mean, it's just crazy to me that they come and I'm supposed to accept, well, Spirit said. Well, how did Spirit say that to you? And how did you validate that? Now we stuttering. Well, it came in a dream. Okay, well, how did you validate the dream? Don't come to me with a lie. Don't think, church does that. That's church. You open the doors of the church. If anybody want to accept Christ, come on up to the front. Anybody want to join the church, come on up to the front. And you have two things. Somebody who's brand new, going to be baptized, but then you have what's called Christian experience. And I'm coming on Christian experience, especially the Baptist church. I'm coming on Christian experience. Pastor then wants a letter from your old pastor that should explain when you got baptized, how long you been there, how much money you paid in tithes, and if you paid tithes. So even in the church, they don't just accept your Christian experience on your word, okay? And then you got the traveling preacher, the traveling evangelist, who has a background, who's been, verified by so many bishops, so many ministers, that now they are validated as an evangelist. People like, I'm trying to think of somebody who's popular that's in the news. What's the woman name from Georgia? Real popular, always in the news. 1 minute she a lesbian, the next minute she's dating a man. Once she was married. I mean, so don't come at me because I'm going to see right through it. I can't. Don't expect me to accept what some other practitioner, even if it's real, what some other practitioner said that I don't know, ain't never met, can't validate their background, can't validate where they come from. And like Kiana said, just quit lying. Just quit lying. That's one of my favorite mottos. Drink more water and quit lying. Quit lying and drink more water. Drink more water. Flush that bullshit out of your body. Flush them lies and them toxins out of your body. Quit lying. Quit lying and drink more water. And quit lying to yourself. It's one thing to tell me you got experience, you've been initiated, you done received, it came through in a dream. Okay, that don't hurt me. That don't hurt me. Okay, say what you want. But then you lying to yourself. Then you're lying to God. Now you're lying to the ancestors who see everything. Ancestors see all. But you're trying to convince me that you deep, that you didn't travel, that you didn't been east, that you've passed through the gates. And it's a waste of both of our time. Because anybody who's got a reading to tell you, I'm going to get right down to the business. I'm not even going to let you talk 60 seconds and then I'm getting right down to the business. Beloved, I'm throwing 21 cards, just 7 at a time. I'm not even going to hear what you said. And often it's your energy that I need. It's your breath that traditionally is blown on the board. So if I'm doing virtual work over the phone, over Skype, over WhatsApp, I need you to speak only because your breath needs to be in the air. Okay, Oshun Bimi, I see you. And see, that's another one. Not you, beloved, who just emailed me, but the people who now come with the names. And the names suggest training. The names suggest initiation. Let me tell you, it's a lot of Oshuns out there that ain't Oshun. Ain't never been near Oshun. Don't know the first thing about Oshun. It's just a username. so I hear you, Kiona. I hear you. And if you are a practitioner, you hear it every day. People will come to you with the self lie, meaning they convince they self is true and it's real enough that I should be able to convince you with it. But you can't convince somebody like me who's been in this 45 years. You can't convince me. 45 years ago, I was, what's the math? My math ain't good. I'm 53. I was 8, 9, and even my mother would tell you, even Wapani would tell you, I was on another level than my peers. I hated kids in kindergarten. It didn't make no sense to me. All I knew was adults and adult experience. So even at that age, much, my mother taught us, instructed us. My mama took us to the library every Saturday. My mama took us to a museum every opportunity. My mama took us to the theater, to opera, to symphony, to performance, to masquerade, to marionette puppetry. I saw all of that growing up, with my mother. So I was erudite at 9. I was already overexposed at 10. I already knew too much about the spirit realm and spirits and how spirit interacted with humans at that time. So don't lie to me. It don't get you anywhere. Keona just told you. He's still not going to give you the secrets. I'm still not going to reveal the mysteries to you if you can't pass through the gate. If you can't pass through the lock, it's not coming. Because you'll hurt yourself. She just quoted it. You give a fool, a little bit of knowledge, they're going to hurt theyself. They're going to hurt theyself and others. And so I don't quote a whole lot of herbs on the show. I don't produce a whole lot of recipes on the show because it's too many vipers and vampires and parasites and wannabes that are watching me that are going to go running with it and hurt you and themselves and probably charge you a whole ridiculous amount of money in the process, only for me to have to clean it up. Only for practitioners like me to have to clean it up and have to, listen to, you tell your story and, oh my God, boo. I'm so sorry that happened to you. I'm so sorry you got to start again. I'm so sorry now I got to tell you the right way to go about this, the correct way, to address this. And it's draining. It's draining. I can talk for 3 hours without a problem. I can teach. I'd rather share. I'd rather give. I'd rather instruct than all the consistent repair, fix that I have to do to get you all beyond this craziness. Yeah, Juanita Bynum, that's her name. Hot mess. She even dabbled in spirituality for a minute. If you pay attention to her story, she all over the place, all over the place. So we see it. Drink more water and quit lying. Yes, Buffy Cooper Peterson. I love people with hyphenated last names. Yes, Buffy Cooper Peterson. Drink more water and quit lying. Drink more water and quit lying. Yes. Kiona, what are you saying? Many go down a dry demon and come up a wet demon. Yeah, that's right. I've heard pastors say that. Yes, I've heard sanctified evangelical pastors say that. You just a wet demon. You ain't shook off nothing. You haven't shed anything. Like a snake. A snake has to shed their skin. You just a wet demon. Um, yeah, the lights have to be kept on, Keona. The mortgage got to be paid. And often it's that five faithful, that dozen or so faithful, that are keeping that house of worship open. The rest of the pews are the 30 or more people you describe who are just watching, who are just observing, who are just examining, who are just analyzing, who are just criticizing. And then the worst of all, the takeaways. You're not even going to acknowledge the source. You're going to run with it and try and do it on your own and try and evolve your own thing. I never set out to copy anybody, to duplicate. In fact, there's nobody doing what I'm doing. Nobody. There are no voodoo houses that run like mine. There are no Ifa houses that run like mine. There aren't. This is a whole new thing here. And the glory to the Most High, the glory goes to the ancestors. But this a whole new thing here. This a whole evolved thing here. My footprint is that I wanted to reach people like me. I wanted to reach people who are being ignored, who are being overlooked, who don't have the means to travel, who ain't got no passport yet, who can't afford to go to Cuba, and spend $12,000. That was my motivation, to reach the African American population, to reach everyone, but particularly the African American population who does not have immediate access to this. That's what I set out for. And so that's what makes my house unique. That and my experience, that and my 5 decades of experience that nobody can copy and or duplicate. Because if you want to do that, first you got to be on the street at 14. First you got to be homeless at 14 and survive that and seek out spirit. If you want to duplicate my story, okay? Yeah, I rolled my eyes, yeah. So that's how you duplicate my story. And that's what makes this path, this house, unique. And so I impart my wisdom, my struggle, my challenges, my ignorance, what I had to figure out the hard way, what I had to figure out on the streets of hard knocks, what I had to figure out by making a mistake, so that you don't make the mistakes. What's foolish is you aren't willing to learn from the next person's experience so that you don't have to. Everybody don't have to smoke crack to know crack kills. Everybody don't have to do heroin to know heroin will destroy your life and your family's life and everything around you. Okay? So everybody doesn't have to dibble and dabble and be a kitchen witch and fall down on their head or fall down on their ass in order to then learn the correct way. I'm offering you the truth every day. I'm offering you my experience every day so you don't have to. One of my godmothers just reached out to me, Dolores L. in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, just reached out to me. She'll tell you, she's been down those many paths, those many roads, those many traditions, those many offerings, those many initiations. I'm here so that you don't have to. But you choose to. Many of you choose to, by way of your own foolishness, by way of your own entitlement, self-righteousness. I'm going to do this on my own. I got this. Go ahead and do that, beloved. I'm here to pick you up when you fall. I'm here to clean you off when you get dirty. I'm here to unbind you when you find out that offering tarot readings and psychic readings invites spiritual attachments from other people. Am I missing any questions, beloved? I'm going to move forward momentarily. I appreciate you, Kiona, and all you bring, and I appreciate your voice. Listen, I hear you. I see you, Kiona. You're speaking up a little bit more. Your truth is coming up to the surface. Your leadership is bubbling up to the top. So I hear you, Kiona. I hear you. I see you. Grow, girl. Go on and grow. And I invite those who are listening and watching and observing to grow. I also invite you to participate. Be an active participant. If you have a question, comment, or request at this point and you are not on the phones, type it for me in all capital letters so that I can see it and respond to it. Otherwise, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to move on. Today, and today specifically, in the spirit of the ritual calendar, we're acknowledging the powers that govern sudden change and transformation, that push us forward, that give us that extra nudge, that give us that kick. Sometimes we need a kick, to get up, to move around, to do what's in our best interest. So I'm inviting you to stand up for yourself, to stand up in your truth, to stand up in your journey. I'm trying to scroll through my chat. Am I missing?
Did the phone lines cut off? Because I didn't hear the countdown. Did the phone lines cut off?
Oh yeah, I heard the countdown at 2:00. You were distracted. She counted. Yeah,
I am so sorry, April. April Anthony was trying to call in. I'm sorry.
Did she? Is she on the phone? Somebody's on the phone, but their hand's not raised. Is she 305?
It hung up. No, she tried to, but it hung up on her.
Now, who's online, whose hand is not raised? Everybody else who is on the phone line, their mics are open. So any other questions have to come through the chat. If April is in the chat, she needs to write that in a way that Kiona can see it. Because I don't have entire control of my chat. Go ahead, beloved. Who is this? Go ahead. Say your name and say your question.
Hey, this is 813. I was curious, is there a such thing as twin flames and karmics and all this kind of stuff? And if it is, looks like an easy, real definition. How would you define it, or your definition of it, so to speak, I guess? I'm sorry, y'all. That question didn't make sense.
No, that does make sense. That's perfect. And you said it the way it needed to be said. That's something that I deal with every day. And particularly when it comes to psychic readings, when it comes to my psychic world account, love and relationships often dominate everything. I don't care what the age, 80 years old, 70 years old, 20 years old, it dominates. And twin flames and soulmates come up a lot. Love and relationships come up a lot. And I often like to say we've been miseducated about soulmates and how soulmate attachments work from a Eurocentric perspective. We got Valentine, the chocolate hearts and wedding rings, which was invented in the early 1900s, by the way. Wedding rings is a new concept. Weddings as we know it is a new concept. Marriage as we know it is a new concept. The old world, even those of you who are relying on the Bible, did not marry in the way that we do today with all the legalities and stuff attached to it. So we're all mixed up with soulmates and love and relationships and how that works. Even Cupid, little fat baby cherub with a bow and arrow, who shoots you in your heart and creates foolish love, blind love, love that makes you do stupid and crazy and unpractical things. In African tradition, and particularly West African, particularly Yoruba, I like to see that cherub, Cupid, as Oshosi. Oshosi is a divine hunter. Oshosi is sophisticated and represents civilization. Still is a wild man, still comes out of the warrior trio, Eshu, Ogu, Oshosi. But his concerns are way more than love and relationships. His concerns are reality, life, survival, feeding your family, feeding yourself, moving forward, which is why we attach so many warrior and hunter attributes to Oshosi. But Oshosi is dignified and wears suede and leather and fur, and the minerals that Ogu harvests. Is seen as sophisticated as a hunter. Speaks every language in the world, Ochosi. And so his concerns are more than just the follies of love and relationship. Life path choices. So choosing a mate, choosing a partner that furthers something much deeper than just love and sex and emotion. We don't travel in soulmate pairs. We travel in groups. Even in West African voodoo, even in West African tradition, you have Egbe, your soul double, but you also have Ibeji, Ibeji, in Yoruba, specific language and tradition. Because, if I'm speaking Fan, Akan, Eve, all of these words change. All of these deities change. But there's a common thread that runs through it. So I used Yoruba because, we understand that. Orisha romancers understand that. Just know it's always deeper, as Kiona suggests. It's always deeper. My initiates, my godchildren hear me saying things right now that many of you don't even understand. So you got Ibeji, your divine twins. Again, they are connected to ancestral spirit, ancestral lineage. So often we're attracted to what we're attracted to. We're attracted to what we know. We're attracted to what resonates in our family. We're attracted to what we've seen demonstrated from our parents and our guardians and etc. Sometimes a soulmate comes through and it's not about sex at all. It's not about love and relationships at all. It's about learning a lesson. It's about the maintenance of a divine lesson that the two of you might be going at from one life path to another. And in one life you were male, the next you were female, the next you were male again, and vice versa. And you all's goals is the fulfillment of a purpose. Sometimes it's the frenemy. The frenemy you can't shake, the frenemy that's been in your life since kindergarten, since elementary school. The cousin you don't get along with can be part of your soulmate clan. And it's to address what's hidden, what's the mystery, what's in secret. Soulmates are not always about love. Sometimes it's about business. Procter & Gamble coming together and creating a multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar enterprise that grows and births children, births family, figuratively, births people who are now affected by that company, that plan, that program for the rest of their lives. So soulmates is not always, love and relationships. Focusing on soulmates. Because now you're bringing people in who might be there to improve you, to get you to a better place so that you are ready to receive a soulmate. Many of you ain't even ready. And many of you who think your soulmate is here and with us and walking the ground, they might not be ready. And the two of you ain't ready to be together. Because all you're focused in on is the relationship, is the coming together, is the living together, is the sex, is the marriage, is the children we done already had. You're not thinking about what's deeper, what's higher, what's evolved. Why are you two souls brought together at all? And to birth what? It's more than just your pleasure. I get too many callers, too many reading requests. You don't say it, but I hear it. I can discern it. I can decipher it in the conversation. All you cared about is your bed is empty. You don't have the sex mate that you think that you're supposed to have. You don't have the partner that you built foundation with 5 years, 10 years, trust with, and now they done fell off and they're cheating or, and now it's affected the relationship. But that's your only focus. And so now I have to trick you. That's why people think Eshu is a trickster. That's why people think voodoo is about tricking folk and about the manipulation of folk. Because now I got to trick you into focusing on what's in your best interest, and to focus on healing yourself, and to focus on why you want this person, this soulmate in your life at all. And so now I got to ask tricky. Listen to you explain your love and relationships, for an hour, and then I ask, okay, you want that man back? Why? And then we get to stuttering, and then we get to hemming and hawing, because I'm listening to you. And some of you, know my rules about too much detail, and you don't tell me nothing. I got some that are real slick about that. Well, I'm calling about my career. Okay, well, tell me about that. Well, I got in a relationship with this man. And I moved him in. Okay, you said you were calling about your career, right? Oh, yeah, we're talking about my career and my personal life path. And then I'm already throwing the cards, because I told you, I'm not listening to what you're saying. I'm drawing your energy. I'm shuffling the cards and throwing, because I need your energy. I ain't listening to all that drama and them details you're telling me. And then I ask you, well, why? You want that person back? Why? You all are together to do what? And you can't answer that. That, beloved caller, that's where the misinformation about love and relationships comes in. I hate, excuse me, don't be offended what I'm going to say. Don't try to sue me. I hate Barbie. I hate Barbie. I hate nursery rhymes and fairy tales that have convinced you women that that's what a relationship look like. Because ain't a whole lot of men falling for it, by the way. It's a few, but there ain't a whole lot of men falling for it. It's primarily women, because it's directed at you. It's targeted at you from the time you come out the womb, from the time they put the pink blanket on you and the blue blanket on the boy, before you even know the child's personality, identity. You done put the pink blanket, boy and girl, male and female. That's it. Okay, so let's say that is it. Let's say that is your truth. The boy and the girl are so much more than that. So much more than that. And in African culture, you don't even name the baby sometimes for a moon cycle, a month, weeks, because they want time to get to know the baby, build relationship with the baby. Who is this baby? What is this baby here to do? Is this a reincarnation, my reincarnation question, of an ancestor? Or are they here to bring forward something? Then they name the baby, after they figure out the identity. But when we doing this soulmate thing, a lot of y'all ain't even, you don't even know the man. You don't even know the woman, Because when I start asking questions in a reading, that's a problem. You would prefer that I just talk and that I go through. But when I start asking questions, it means you're holding back, or you're trying to be deceptive, or you think I don't hear you, and I hear you clearly. And I tell callers, beloved, I hear you. I'm right there. I know what you're talking about. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to the answer. You're deluded. You're an illusion. You're in denial. You're not seeing your truth for what it is. Who is that man? Who is that woman that you think is soulmate? And the people, beloved caller, who hit me with, I lost my soulmate at 21, 22, 25. Is it over? The key word is soul. A soul can leave a body, even a living body. It's zombies walking around. It's dead people walking around. So your soulmate can move to any host that it wants to, can move to any host that's appropriate for who and what you are right now in this moment. So let go. If it's problematic, let go. The soul will move on. We'll move on to someone who's ready for what you need, for what you want, for what you're trying to do. And that's the problem with the miseducation of soulmates in the West. I don't find that as much with my Asian callers, with my African callers, with my Australian callers, with my South American callers, Brazilian callers, Central. I don't run into that as much because they have cultural stories, legends, background that competes with the Barbie and with the Prince Charming and with the young version who finds her prince, who carries her off into the thereafter, to live happily thereafter. You know how the nursery rhymes end. I haven't read a nursery rhyme in years, but you folks who read to your kids at night, you know what I'm talking about. And so these children, particularly girls, are locked into, oh, my soulmate, and it's going to be this one man, and he's going to come, and he's going to sweep me off my feet, and everything's going to be, and that's not what soulmates are at all. At all. First out the gate, a soulmate is first coming to correct the problem. First. I don't care who you are. I don't care how perfect the love is. I don't care how perfect you are. The soulmate is coming first to correct the problem. So you first got to figure out, what's the problem? Is it me? Is it internal? Is it how I self-identify? Is it how I look at love and relationships? Is it my expectation? Am I ignoring what my real purpose is? Because some of you, particularly women, and again, I'm not picking on women, I'm picking on men, because this is a man's world. Men created the nursery rhymes and the love stories and the conditioning that women find themselves in, where they think, I need to save myself for this man who's going to come and make everything right. And that's not a reality, particularly in today's world where everybody's sick, everybody's got shadow work to do, everybody's got nonsense to work through. That's just not even a reality. So your soulmates come first to correct the problem. And the two of you correct and address and look at that problem together. That's what soulmates do. So I have a soulmate that's my friend, best friend, even though we don't talk a whole lot, haven't talked in a long time, Tessie. And that's our role. We grow, we exchange, we mature, we share each other's experience, we learn through each other's experience. And she's a part of my soulmate clan forever, ever. My sister wife, Tony Val Martinez, first person I met in New Orleans that I became friends with. When I came to New Orleans, I was in a shelter, got a job in like a week, got housing in like 2 weeks, and so I didn't have friends. My first friend came through my first job. And so I met Tony Val Martinez, working at 650, my clan forever. And she has a male spirit. She's heterosexual, don't get confused. Got kids, grandkids, got a man. But she's more of a male spirit. I'm more of a female spirit. And through our work together over the last 20 years, we know what we do together. We know how we function together. And sometimes we argue and go back and forth and click them. I'll hang up on her. And she can call me back in an hour, and it's like nothing happened. It's like we won't even bring up, because what we argue about is spirit, politics, history, getting into doing the work. We argue about work. We don't argue about, it's not what we trip over. I have another male partner, soulmate. There is some energy there. There is love there. There is, a sexual history there of over 30 years. And we go back and forth. We don't live together. We live separate. We live separate lives. He's a black Republican, Christian, Jew, who don't have no knowledge of none of this that we operating in. And so people ask, well, why are y'all, what's that? He buffets me and I buffet him. We were homeless together back in 86, 87, 89, before I started initiating and maturing spiritually. So all soulmates, beloved, ain't about coming together. It could be about coming together, and it might be temporary. Maybe y'all not meant to be married forever. Maybe y'all and raise the children together, but live separately and go on and do your life. What complicates it further is the legalities, commitments, contracts of man. Again, the marriage as we look at it today is not the marriage that existed in the indigenous world. And all the legal attachments and stuff that further complicates it. And then you get with somebody and now it costs a whole lot of money to get divorced. It costs a whole lot of money now to work through, So you got man's law and man's stuff. Give unto Caesar that which belongs to Caesar. But then you have that which belongs to God. And so keeping in line with soulmates, many of you are marrying, not legally, but are marrying and are not paying attention. Every time you bed up, you shack up, you sex up, you get together, with these deep emotions, you're marrying. In the spirit realm, you're marrying. And some of you are haunted by that energy forever. Forever. Especially women who are more spiritually open than men, who by nature have a body that's like a vessel. And so that DNA stays in your body. That's science. That ain't me. I'm not judging nobody's private life. I'm not looking into anybody's private life right now. Every man that you sleep with is in your body. They leave DNA deposits in your body. Women's energy as well. It just don't stay in you physically the way it does women. Because our opening, I don't have to get graphic. You all know the opening. It's a small opening, okay? Things can enter, but then you urinate or you ejaculate, and so you're also pushing material out, especially great velocity into the woman. So you all are holding on. You got these men in your body, literally. And then it shows up in your energy. And that's why sometimes for women, they can't shake it. I can smell him. I can feel him. It's in my house. It's in my bed. And then, of course, the question of, is this soulmate energy? So should I acknowledge it? Should I be open to it? Should I feed it? Or is this some kind of energy I need to cut? I need to sever. I need to cleanse myself from. I need to, because it interrupts your relationships. Men, if you, it's not collecting in your body. It's collecting in your spirit body. It's collecting in your head, in your emotions, in your aura, in your soul energy. It's setting up at a much deeper level than women. Because a woman can clean herself, purge herself, renew herself. The men, you got to get in there and tinker with your head. And not enough of you are even open to that. You fear emotion, you fear weakness. Sometimes you fear intimacy, even being intimate with yourself. You fear going in. I look at the symbolisms that are projected at me, and I see all these black men with a baseball cap on and a hoodie over that and a coat over that. I ain't talking about 30-degree weather wintertime. I'm just talking about regular. People on Voodoo and social media sites, and they all covered up to here, And so you might say, okay, well, they don't want to reveal their identity online. But I see you walking the streets like that. All black and white, maybe a little bit blue. Y'all won't even wear other colors. There's no creativity. There's no individuality. It's just a shell of a man with all this brokenness inside that because of masculine training in this culture, you don't even have the skills to attack it. You don't even have the skills to address it. It is absolutely possible to cut energy cord. Absolutely. Imani Sankofa, absolutely. 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 They can be cut. Physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. And when I do that work, I address every level. Because it's one thing to cut it something emotionally and, you still got the issue of child support. You still got that financial tie. You've got to cut those ties sometimes on every level, on many levels, to advance beyond, sort of that vampiric, parasitic attachment. Because that's what it is. Okay, so you got to raise a child together. You got to handle legalities of that together. But then there's that whole other part that's parasitic, the jabs at each other, the shadiness, that you show each other, the denial, the pretending not to see, not to feel. I'm just here to drop the child off, but you pretend there's nothing emotionally going on between the two of you. It's just crazy. That's why the divorce rate is so high, and that's why psychic reading and spiritual services is in such a great demand. It's too many people that are tied up, emotional ties, relationship ties, and just don't know how to cut those cords, Kiana. Just don't know how to move forward with that. I appreciate you, Anthony Anderson, April Anthony. I almost said Anthony Anderson. April Anthony, Kiona Carter, Imani Sankofa. Everyone who's been present today, everyone who's still with me on the phone lines listening, everyone who's answered or asked questions and comments, my co-hosts and superstars, I appreciate you. I'm going to go soon enough. So let me have your questions. I'm trying to read now. That's why I'm talking. I'm trying to find. Is it 6 p.m., Kiona? I didn't realize that's what I was doing. Should I keep doing that at 6 p.m.? You and my mom are good for setting me up to do stuff that I'm questioning should I do. Okay? I was just questioning should I keep doing the B affirmations on YouTube and then showing them back up on Instagram at all. And then you posted in the chat like it's a regular thing, and so I guess now I have to do it. Okay, so I guess now I have to keep doing.
I'm sorry, because I work after the show. I go to work, and so in the evenings I watch it in the replay if I miss it, and it helps me. I look forward to. I click on it. I be looking. I be reading all in the caption.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, my Instagram, I have one Instagram, DivinePrince Ty Emeka. All one word, Instagram.com/DivinePrince Ty Emeka. And it's spelled correctly. So if it's got too many C's in it, wrong letters in it, it's not me. It's somebody trying to pretend to be me. So it's D-I-V-I, V like Victor, DivinePrince TyEmmecca. That's where I am on Instagram. Please join me, add me. Another point that I try not to complain about that Kiona, hit it real good today. She gave y'all a good spanking. All you people that's following me, looking at me, listening to me, but won't add, won't join, won't click like, won't subscribe to me in Instagram, and you're here every day. It comes off as the only thing I can assume that it is. Shade, hatefulness, I don't know. Judgment of some sort, selfishness, I don't know what it is. I am very active. I like and support all of y'all. And if I'm following you on Instagram, I'm there, and I go through and hit. It's not the Divine Prince, Kiona. It's IG Divine Prince Ty Emeka. I didn't spell the. I'm not picking at you, but I didn't say the, and I didn't spell it. I said DI. It's Divine Prince Tiameka. If you put the, then my Nigerian fraudsters are going to take over that account and steal y'all's money. Okay. So make sure you get that right. I am the Divine Prince in Instagram. I'm sorry, in Twitter and in other locations, but not in Instagram. I had to use my real name in Instagram. And they still won't give me a blue dot because they want me to use my name as it appears on my license, which is Ras Taichikas in Mecca. And I have 2 middle names. I can't get all of that on Instagram. I wouldn't want to get all that on Instagram. Most people don't know my first name legally, Ras Taichikas, and most people can't pronounce it. It's got way too many letters in it. And so I just don't use it. And that's the reason Twitter and Instagram won't give me a blue dot, because I'm not using my name as it appears on my driver's license. Ty Emeka is my legal name, but Ty is an abbreviation of my full first name. So they want me to use Ras Taichikas. I'm not a Rasta anymore. So I'm not necessarily trying to promote the Ras in my name. So I use Tiameka or Divine Prince Tiameka. So that's why I don't have a blue dot as of yet. I'm hoping at some point they get a clue and they figure out that I'm me everywhere that I'm represented online. But can't do it right now. Yeah, I hear you, Imani Sankofa. Some of us should have a blue check, deserve a blue check. Been in the game way long enough to have a blue check. Wendy Williams and T.S. Madison, and y'all came after me. Y'all brand new compared to me. I've been doing this since 2005. So I should have been had a blue check, been had one. Do I think there's some prejudice and white supremacy also in that hoodoo occultism? I do. There are people, there are humans running Instagram, running YouTube, running Facebook, and often they don't even live in our country. Often they aren't even a part of our culture. So yeah, they don't understand America at all. And so they don't understand, our sense of liberalism, our sense of, accepting other genders and other identities. And so I think people like us, Imani Kofa, are being systematically overlooked, if not consciously blocked from moving forward. I notice every time I get close to, I won't even say the number because I know it's a conscious hand behind it. Every time I get to a certain number in Instagram or YouTube, my numbers start to fall back. Certain people pull back. And so I know you're consciously trying to affect the outcome of my numbers, affect people's response to my numbers. Because humans, when they see your number fall, they play along. So then they fall, just hand behind it. YouTube is not set up for that kind of information to be visible to us. But I have my own algorithm. I have my own little system that I use that intersects several social media sites and a few mathematical equations that help me to figure out who's doing what at any given time in my YouTube. So I know who it is. It's only one person. It's only one person who's just so unhappy about my YouTube and wants to prevent it from moving forward. They even have reached out to YouTube about my channel. And YouTube is tired of you, by the way. YouTube is exasperated with having to come through every day and revalidate my posts, because there ain't nothing wrong with my posts. But that one person challenges every post, that one person challenges it and forces some human to have to come back, listen to my show, and send it on through as being safe for the general viewing audience and advertisers. So, yeah. It's a lot, y'all. It's a lot, yeah, Arisha. It's a lot. And I'm grateful because I see it as success. I do. If you're successful at something, if you're doing something good, if you're doing something right, if you're walking upright, you are going to have people that are not going to be happy about it. And some of you have fear of success, fear of success. And so you're not growing, you're not reaching your goals with your self-employment business because subconsciously you fear some of the things that come along with that. And some of us, and I'm speaking about myself, have that fear of success because I had a therapist tell me back in '87 that I had fear of success based on my experience growing up in the middle class black community in a wealthy, prosperity based ministry. I learned to associate money with negative behavior, with bad people. So there was a time that I thought all rich people, all successful people, all well-to-do people had to have some dirtiness underneath that we just can't see. And some of you all still believe that and sort of interact and act that way every day in social media, particularly with the news and celebrities and entertainers and politicians. You just, you just instinctively expect the worst, so you don't let anything through. And personally, that can show up as a fear of success. And so therefore, you can't grow because you think people who grow, people who do well, people that advance somehow had to beat somebody to do it, had to step on somebody to do it, had to step over somebody to do it. So I'm very conscious of that type of energy. Listen, I feel like I'm talking all over the place now. I feel like I'm rambling. I might not be, but I feel like I'm rambling. So I'm going to move forward. If you don't have a question, a comment, thank you, Kiona. If you don't have a question, a comment, or request for me at this time, I invite you to, I implore you to follow the advice of Kiona. Send me a personal, direct communication to my email at DivinePrince@houseofthedivineprince.com. You can also visit my website, www.houseofthedivineprince.com. Please, have concerns about ordering readings and work through my site, just email me and I'll make it clear to you and you can respond. I can also be found on Psychic World. The URL is very long, so Kiona has put it in the chat. I'm not going to try and recite it for you or say it out loud. For my listeners right now who are listening but can't see the chat, but I am on Psychic World. You can find that link on my website. You can find that link in any email communication that I might send to you. And of course, you can copy and paste it right now out of the live chat where Kiona has graciously posted it for me. I appreciate you. I'm thankful for you. I'm grateful for you. I absolutely will be continuing my COVID-19 B affirmations. So by 6 o'clock, there'll be a YouTube, a YouTube and an Instagram with the continuation of the B affirmations. The Queen has made it a rule, so I will be doing that later today. But until then, I ask you to be patient, be kind, just be still, be safe. Until next time, until tomorrow at high noon, U.S. Central Standard Time, remembering that all is truly and indeed a blessing. If you can just see beyond the veils, for it is all just an illusion and a test and one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. Asheo. Ashe, Asheo. Ay, Bobo. Ashe. Mighty Sparrow, Witch Doctor, one of my favorite songs, Mighty Sparrow. Appreciate you as well.
Witch doctor from a land of fire, specialized in Hobia. The real name is Papa When the drums begin to
Peace and love. Thank you. Thank you, Caribbean nations. Thank you, Virgin Islands. Thank you, South America. Africa. Thank you, East Africa. Thank you, China. Thank you, Japan. Thank you, Afghanistan. I got listeners in Afghanistan. Yes. I got listeners in Russia. Thank you. Thank you. All is a blessing. I got a 3 o'clock. I know you see me. 3 o'clock. Call me 3 o'clock appointment.
Making spirits weak, as the cemetery, with horns on my head, I see my cross and two big ponies,
Invoking the dead. Water hot. It's time to put something in that pot.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio.
Goodbye.